Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sigmafine Summit 2021 edition. Thank you again for joining us in this virtual happening. Hopefully, next year we will be all together in person and be able to return to the past experience of these summits. But today it is what it is, so we have to make the best out of it. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully you'll have an enjoyable journey with us in the next couple of hours. This year, we continue to build on the theme of transforming data into digital assets by extending the discussion into the actionable insights which can be derived from such digital assets. This year, we will also showcase Sigmafine Studio. It's our exciting new product, and it will enhance both the Sigmafine user experience and the capabilities of the Sigmafine system as a whole. If you're a Sigmafine user, we hope you'll appreciate these new features and capabilities of Sigmafine. If you're new to Sigmafine, we hope the voice of the users presenting during this year's summit will convey to you the value of Sigmafine, and your participation will be the beginning of your journey in transforming data into digital assets. Today's agenda comprises of 6 presentations featuring INEOS, a Sigmafine user, OSIsoft's Craig Arclerold as a thought leader in the oil and gas industry, as well as Sigmafine specialists from our team. We have allocated a small break in the middle of the presentation, which we'll use as a buffer in case we run short or long. So we'll make the break longer, or we will skip it depending how we are doing on time with the Q&A and everything. Just for your information, all the presentations are pre-recorded, and the speaker will be available live at the end of each presentation to answer your questions, which, by the way, you can submit through the comments window on the streaming page at any time during the presentation. They will be collected and posted on the screen when we get to the Q&A session. By the way, if you encounter any technical issues, just email us during the presentation and we'll try to sort them out for you. We will post the final recordings and presentations of all the sessions next week, so you can replay at your convenience and share with your colleagues. So basically, at this point, the Sigmafine Summit 2021 edition has officially started. Whether you're sitting at home or sitting in the office to which you have just recently returned, we ask you to sit back, relax, be generous with your comments and questions throughout the presentations. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Massimo Galli, our global VP of Sales. Massimo will set the stage for the summit by walking you through the life cycle of streaming data and events into usable data assets, which we call digital asset, and discuss real-life examples showing how such digital assets constitute the last mile to actionable insights in many operational and business contexts. Welcome to the summit, Massimo.
Thank you, Bernard, and welcome everyone again. So today it's my pleasure to start the Sigmafine Summit articulating the theme of this year, which is transforming data into digital assets. We know there are many partners and customers, part of the Sigmafine community, who are attending today, but also we know we have online a certain number of professionals at the very first experience with the Sigmafine world. So I will treat the topic by mapping the digital asset concept to Sigmafine and Sigmafine Hub capabilities. And I will include also references to several Sigmafine customer success stories. So let's get started. So let's go through the agenda. First, we'll see the definition of what a digital asset is, and then we will examine how Sigmafine can manage, measure, and monetize digital assets in an industrial context. And finally, I'll introduce the Sigmafine Hub as the digital asset factory. In the context of digital initiatives, Gartner predicts that through 2025, the 80% of the organizations seeking to scale digital businesses will fail because they do not take a modern approach to data and analytics governance. At Pimsoft, we believe that the transformation of streaming data and events into usable datasets is the cornerstone of actionable insights in the process industries and an essential requirement of digital transformation initiatives. But first, let's recall the basic definition of digital asset, which is digital in nature, it is uniquely identifiable, and it is used to generate economic value to the company. The advent of digital assets has resulted in the emergence of a new practice called infonomics, which is the study of the principles governing the evaluation and deployment of digital assets and giving economic significance to information. Infonomics studies the way we can measure information to be able to monetize it. Mapping these concepts to the industrial domain, we first have to recognize that we deal with process and manufacturing data, and that any source of information, being a flow meter, a label analysis, or a bill of material, is affected by intrinsic error. So the role of Sigmafine is to transform such incoming data into reliable datasets suitable to sustain different company processes. But let's define the industrial digital asset factory in terms of its component. First, we rely on a model. The model is the representation of the set of process and business assets we are dealing with and how they are interconnected to each other. Second, we need to define a time rule for our analysis. This can be periodic, from nearly real time to monthly period, or it can be by event or by batch. Third, we need to define the properties we are dealing with. Those can be physical properties like volume, mass, components, energy, or even business properties like ownership. Then it is very important to assign a degree of belief to the source of information we are going to process. The degree of belief represents the level of confidence on the processed data, the level of trust we have on such data. And finally, we have a set of metrics applicable to the dataset our factory is producing. Such metrics are defining how good is the performance of the factory itself. Our factory performs a set of dataset operations which transform raw data into a trustable industrial dataset. Some of those operations are quite simple and intuitive, like filtering bad data or identifying gross errors or validate the data against certain rules and criteria. Then we would like to implement certain rules to substitute bad data with alternate values using design data or using historical data. The resultant dataset will then be reconciled according to the physical constraint based on the selected properties. We may want to reconcile based on mass or energy, and we may want to apply such constraint to different envelopes. And the result of data reconciliation will be to obtain a first dataset closing the balance across the envelopes we selected. Thanks to data reconciliation, we can even infer data it was not possible to measure because of lack of instrumentation on the field. And finally, based on the reconciled dataset, we may want to apply tracking capabilities to track properties like composition or, as we said, ownership. The execution of the data transformation steps around the model generates over time the sequence of industrial datasets together with their matrix. This is what has been defined as the single version of the truth, but we prefer to refer to it as the system of record of the company, embedding the accurate description of the properties related to the company assets over time. The last step of the data transformation journey is about shaping data. Most consumers will not be able to digest the dataset as it is, so our factory needs to be able to shape and augment the dataset in order to be able to be consumed by different actors. Many scenarios see Sigmafine feeding finance with generated production and consumption data to move ERP stocks, sending reconciled yield vectors back to the planning and scheduling department, preparing compliance report for tax and environmental authorities, and reshaping the dataset in order to feed the advanced analytics and machine learning layer with trustable data for better prediction. In all cases, it is extremely relevant to provide the metrics certifying that the dataset we are delivering is good enough to be considered trustable. Being able to measure the industrial dataset means to be able to certify the reliability of the data delivered to the different consumers. It is also a means to keep our digital asset factory under control. Sigmafine produces a certain set of indicators, some of them at model level, others related to the points of measurement and the points of balance within the model itself. They are segmenting the performance of the factory across different perspectives, like redundancy, correction, tolerance, solvability. We would like to take the opportunity to encourage the Signifying community to use those indicators more and more. As we see, these metrics are the ones you can use to build the trust between the factory and the dataset consumers and within the factory itself. The first example of usage of model metrics is from MOL. MOL is an integrated oil and gas corporation. They are tracking and historicizing the Signifying generated model metrics to their PI system. In such a way, they can track historical performance of their industrial dataset factory. And they can assess how modification to the model or improvement in the measurement system can impact the performance of the model itself. Another example of usage of such indicators is from Slovnaft, a large refinery located in Slovakia. Slovnaft is tracking Signifying Test 1 metric. Test 1 provides an indication of the correction to tolerance ratio for the points of measurement of the model. And by monitoring these indicators on a monthly basis, they are able to identify suspicious meter, which could be subject of an inspection by the maintenance department. So we have discussed how to manage and measure industrial digital assets. Now we'll go through monetization. Infonomics define monetization according to two main categories, indirect and direct. Indirect monetization refers to the internal usage of digital assets in order to drive better business, process, and organizational decision-making, which ultimately drive better economics. This could be the case of advanced analytics optimizing certain production processes based on reliable datasets. Direct monetization instead refers to the exchange of digital assets with external entity consumers, with the objective to obtain an economic return or to avoid a financial loss. Let's map this concept to the industrial digital asset domain. With regards to external monetization, we have several cases where Signifying generated datasets are used in the relationship with third parties. This is done, for example, for compliance reasons, whenever validated datasets are required by tax and environmental authorities. In joint ventures, it is required to allocate consumption and productions among the different players of the joint venture itself. This is the case where ownership tracking is applied. Also, custody transfer checks is an area where Signifying generated data is used to provide the background justification to sustain disputes against third parties, mainly suppliers. On the internal monetization side, typical cases involve the use of Signifying datasets to improve process operation, reduce consumption and losses, avoid loss of profits, and product contamination. Let's go through some real cases. So let's see a case of external monetization which involves compliance. Phillips 66, as many other quoted oil and gas corporations, must comply with SOX. SOX is a legislation requiring management to take responsibility to establish internal control over the data impacting the company economics. This involves inventory data generated by the daily mass balance operated through Sigmafine. To cover this aspect, Phillips 66 decided to track model data quality indicators and to establish an organization workflow to explain and approve any discrepancies, for example, if these discrepancies were due to unit upset or planned unit startup and shutdowns. The report is reviewed and approved by the finance manager and serves as an evidence in case of audit to achieve compliance and avoid sanctions. A case of internal monetization is the one presented by Orpic. Orpic is an integrated oil and gas company operating in Oman. They started their Signifying journey in 2015. They reported their initial figures about uncertainties in the process data, about discrepancies between plant and actual performances, and about the fuel consumption and losses. And after 3 years of usage of Signifying, they reported an improvement on all indicators. They were able to reduce the uncertainties, and this could sound obvious for a software like Signifying, but they were also able to reduce the gap between planned and actual performances, and more important, they were able to reduce the figures about fuel consumption and losses. A second case about internal monetization is again from Slovnaft. Slovnaft was calculating the conversion factor of the vacuum residue on the residual hydrocracker unit, and this was estimated to be around 55% to 57%, based on measured and calculated data. After the introduction of Signifying, they recalculated the conversion factor based on reconciled data, and they discovered it was 54%, about 1% less. They realized they were probably over-evaluating the performance of the process unit. and they are considering installing a correlation meter to gather more reliable data around that process area. This is a clear case of Sigmafine having helped the company to avoid a loss of profit. 1% of conversion calculated based on the market price represent between 1 and 2 million euro per year for the refinery. So we went through the process of managing, measuring, and monetizing industrial digital asset. In Pimsoft, we believe the Sigmafine Hub will be the foundation to elevate such process to be a well-controlled industrial digital asset factory. And among the different system capabilities added by Sigmafine Hub, I would like to underline the ones I believe are the most impacting. First, Sigmafine Hub introduced the capability to augment the knowledge of the system itself. It is possible to add specific rules and behaviors to build a shared company data management practice. Second, we learned from our customer this process is the result of a team effort, where different roles cooperate. So improved collaboration supports the capability to communicate and share data and actions among the different members of the team. Then, Sigmafine Hub provides an enhanced workflow management where to configure the data transformation and shaping steps specific to your company. And finally, auditing capabilities have been enhanced to span both changes to the data and changes to the model configuration to be tracked and available for both internal and external audits. Today, you will be able to learn more about Sigmafine Hub playing the role of an industrial digital asset factory. We'll have 3 presentations dedicated to Sigmafine Hub. First, you will see how using Sigmafine Studio, an upcoming component of Sigmafine Hub, it is possible to implement advanced operation on the dataset and to reshape it, creating reports and dashboards. Then, our product development team will illustrate the upcoming Sigmafine Server and Sigmafine Hub roadmap. And finally, we'll show how easy it is to get on board to the Sigmafine Hub while preserving all the effort made in creating and maintaining your models.
And the role of Pimsoft and our partners in that journey of our customers.
Sorry, Bernard, you weren't on the screen at the beginning.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Massimo, for the presentation. Just one question before we jump into the rest of the summit. Today, everyone is talking about advanced analytics. That's a very universal topic. Everybody's trying to get ahead in that domain. But how would you position Sigmafine and the role of Pimsoft and its partners in this journey that most customers are undertaking at this time?
Okay. Well, yes. Actually, in the world today, many digitalization initiatives are fueled by the promise of prediction and prescriptions generated by the advanced analytics domain. And so we see the need of a trustable data set to be processed by such analytics. And I would say that the Sigmafine role is to enable and empower advanced analytics and give a burst of trust and reliability to the outcomes advanced analytics is going to generate. So, by the way, today we will have a presentation by OSIsoft, which will be treating exactly the role of digital asset into the advanced analytics domain. So I would recommend to follow that presentation in order to get more detail about this role.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Massimo, for joining us.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the summit.
We'll see you at the end. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So this was our first presentation. Our second presentation is from a Sigmafine user. The company is INEOS, and they will present how they are using Sigmafine to balance their petrochemical plant. Our speaker is Dr. Alexander Gammersbach, team leader, site balancing. Alexander is a chemist who has done postdoctoral work in chemistry, and he's responsible for this business function of doing the site balance at the INEOS site. He occupied different positions before starting in this position, and he has been involved in the implementation of Sigmafine, I believe, since from 2019. So he will tell us about the entire story of that project and the benefits they are getting. So Alexander, welcome to the summit.
Good morning from Cologne. Fine to take this opportunity to talk on the Sigmafine Virtual Summit 2021. I have to do now the INEOS Cologne case study. My name is Alexander Gammersbach. I'm working at INEOS Manufacturing Deutschland in Cologne as a team leader of the site balancing team. Before I start, I give a short agenda here, what I'm talking about to you in the next minutes. First, I want to give a first introduction into INEOS, the INEOS group and the INEOS Cologne site here where I work. Then I will summarize the challenges of the Sigmafine introduction project we had here 2 years ago, the modeling we do, the data flow we set up here in the Cologne's IT systems, and then afterwards the first learnings after 2 years of this new system in operation, and in the end the short view on next possible steps we want to do. We want to go forward with Sigmafine and Pimsoft. So the INEOS group was founded at the end of the 90s. And in the first 10 years, there was a rapid growth of these chemical groups by more than 20 acquisitions of companies or parts of companies which are very well known, like BP, ICI, Bayer, BASF, Dow, or Solvay. And today, the INEOS group has in total 194 manufacturing sites worldwide in 29 countries. And with this 61 billions in sales in 2019, the INEOS group is within the top 3 of the chemical companies by sales. 26,000 employees worldwide and organized in 36 businesses and up to 20 million tons of refinery products. Now a view on the Cologne manufacturing site. This was founded in 1957 by BP and Bayer, and it's located in the north of Cologne. Our production capacity here is about 5 million tons of petrochemicals per year. And with that, we are some of the largest cracker complex in Germany. In total, 21 production plants. From point of view of the logistics, we are located at the River Rhine, and we have also jetties and capacity to take material from or to barge. There's a railway crossing directly through the plant, and in the east side you will see also a motorway. What you don't see are the pipeline connections. We are also connected to the ARG pipeline system in parallel to the River Rhine for ethylene, and the refinery product pipeline RMR. From point of view of businesses, we have olefins and polyolefins production plants here in Cologne. We have the business unit acrylonitrile, ethylene oxide, and ethylene glycols, propylene oxide and propylene glycols, and diisobutylene. In total, 4 different businesses on site. And if you want to know the size of our site, it's about 1.9 square kilometers. The football supporters know these are 270 football grounds, but I like to compare it more to Monaco, which has 2 square kilometers, and we do on the same, nearly the same sites, a lot of chemistry, not as much as billionaires, but millions of tons. Yeah, now I want to start with the Sigmafine introduction project and the challenges and this as a starting point of our work. In the former time, the Cologne site was balanced in a monthly process, once a month. And the balancing rules, they were customized in our local SAP system. And as time goes on, people need to update the SAP system and want to bring in a new SAP system. And then we started, are we really, do we have a good balancing process, and what could we do with that? And the wish was that we change the way of modeling, not customizing anything in the SAP system, but started with a software and a functionality of balancing. And the goals were, we want to have more accurate data, and we wanted to introduce a single point of truth, an SQL server called KSB, Cologne Site Balancing. What principles we developed in the balancing process? First, we realized it would be a good idea to change from a monthly balancing process to a reconciliation on a daily basis. And we want to have this process as automated as possible. And therefore, we use the scheduler to do things in an automated way. And then also automatic publishing the results on the KSB server. And we started to modeling. This was new for us. How does such a model have to be set up? And we decided to make one global model representing the entire complex in the mass balance system. And we use this global model in the Processbook to balance the whole site in mass. And to make it more easily to work in this, we created 20 different displays. So we have multiple views of the site models. And our energy were not balanced with masses, and there we introduced 4 special utility models for steam, water, nitrogen, and oxygens, so they can be balanced in volume or energy as needed. And here is the representation of our global model. We presented 18 processes here in Cologne, which were also balanced. Not all our processes can be have a mass balance, and therefore we decided to balance 18 processes. And from the point of view of the whole model, we have this 186 nodes. We have more than 200 tanks and nearly 1,000 flows in this model. And to make it more easily to understand, we also use different colors for different products. In totally more than 700 meters and more than 120 receipt and shipment points. We also use a Sigmafine to calculate additional information that this were added then to the flows, that we were able not only to have a reconciled mass of, but also further, especially content information or in a reconciled way. I want to talk a little bit about the data flow. And I said we introduced KSB as a central SQL database in which Sigmafine publish data, and this SQL database is able to then give the information needed for the SAP system directly to the SAP system. We also had a planning system in Cologne, which was developed here in Cologne. It's called DSP. They also need of balanced data, and they were also fed automatically by the KSB database. Sigmafine itself get also information, the logistics information we need from the KSB database, and the plant data from our local historian, which is OSIsoft PI. And the rest of the reportings is done then from the KSB server. Yeah, how does our scheduler work? We're starting the overnight process at 1:45. Then the scheduler starts the system and collecting the first data. And on 10 minutes to 2, the cases were created, the transfers were collected, the inputs, and the first one is made and published then at 4 o'clock to the external SQL database, and this automatically also sends the data to the SAP system. Then in the morning, in the normal work time, the balance were checked by my team, and all the data were validated and again published on demand if the results are accurate enough. We look the cases after the month-end process is finished. This is the last possibility that we can book anything in the SAP system, and then we also lock the Sigmafine cases in order to be sure that now no changes will be done, because we cannot change anything in our SAP system then. Yeah, interesting always are the learnings from the project phase. So firstly, the introduction of Sigmafine was really a huge change in the whole balancing process, changing from monthly to daily, changing from self-made balancing rules to a strict math. This was really big. We also learned how to encourage people to use the tool and how to make them accepting the new tool. And we learned that there are two things give advantage to you. And the first thing is the visibility of the model, that you have a model and can show it. This makes it, especially for production people, much easier to understand what's going on. And the second thing still worth to put work in is the availability of the data, the reporting, because this is what people see when people see the results and can make their own ideas of it. And last but not least, the quality of the input data is key, because Sigmafine always finds a solution and publish it. But if you have problems with your input, then also your output is in a mess. You see it's GIGO, the principle, meaning garbage in, garbage out. And therefore, we developed a procedure for our daily checks I talked about. So first we learned about this automated overnight ones, that it's better first to publish the measured values and not the reconciled one. Then in the daily work, we check all the notes with high and unusual differences. We're looking for the completeness of and accuracy of the logistic information, and looking what's going on in the plant. Do we have usual or unusual operating conditions, and which plants are in operation, and is that what's in the model really the way the plant operates, and how can we adjust this in daily checks. And our goal is also the DX1 below 5%, and then can we publish, as I told, in the morning update, after the morning update and publishing check data, we use the reconciled data set in the SAP system. Then the learnings from using Sigmafine. First learning is that the system is flexible to add additional measurements in the system, and this gave a higher accuracy of the whole data. And also our production teams started really to look for additional measurement and gave it additional measurements we hadn't before into the balance, and this was a good sign that the people starting to work with the possibilities of Sigmafine and wanted to add measurements to the balancing, new measurements to the balancing system. Also, the month-end process is now smoother because we only care about the last days and have finished the work on the first days of the month already, because we have at the end of the day already the best version of yesterday's in the system. And it's key really to look the cases after the month's end process in order to keep all the systems aligned with the same kind of information. Then we learning about model maintenance using Sigmafine, and there we realize that you need strict rules if you work on your models. And we also installed a development system, and all changes need to be checked in the development system before you go productive. And also, if you do the changes, do checkups that the transfer is the right way, and this should also fit into the daily work if you want to change things in the model. So we learn to define a special point in time when we do changes on the productive model. So do it most likely at the beginning of a month, and then you will be able to use the same model the whole month until the month end process, and then you can do it again, or I can do changes again. Yeah, what we still want to do in the next step is to improve our model to be as realistic as possible, and therefore is this key to have a good documentation of your procedures, of your working, of your reporting, and of the way you want to change things. Then if you doing your work, you check your checks every day, you will find days which won't really good results, and then you started what's going on there, looking for deeper problems in the models and in your data. And from that, we developed a robust management of change process for our models. And the next step I'm very keen on is to introduce the Sigmafine Hub. I think in this summit, we will see a lot of the possibilities of the Sigmafine Hub, and hopefully it's a good tool to further improve the accuracy of the data set. And yeah, we want to see the workflow capabilities which can make life a little bit easier for people working every day with Sigmafine, especially to the possibilities of communication within the team and with the people working in the same models at the same time, knowing about each other. So we quite interested in this and in this possibility. Yeah, and I want to say thank you for this opportunity and for the time you gave to me, and I could present the introduction of Sigmafine at INEOS Cologne. Thank you very much, and I'm open for questions.
Good morning, Alexander. Thank you for joining us, and we're the one who thank you for putting the effort and the time to make this presentation. I believe we have some questions for you right now. Should be coming up on the screen shortly. Yes. Okay. First question. Have you assigned specific roles to the member of your team in executing the daily procedure you described in your presentation?
Yes, we have assigned specific roles. There are people that are working in the Sigmafine system and seeing the differences there, and then other people having more knowledge about the site and contact to the production people can then go and ask what's going on there and find solutions. And we have also people then roles with KSB looking if the data flow is right or if we can change anything there. Is the logistics information good, and have contact to the logistics information. And we have people caring about the modeling and seeing if there is if there are problems in and how can we show. Can we make the model, or do we have to change the model because of the situation and the problems we see there?
Okay, good. Just since you mentioned people, how many people would be typically involved in, strictly the whole process, like of going from, tracking the results of Sigmafine, closing the balance, and typically in your team, how big of a team is that?
Yeah, in my teams, there are 3 people every day looking for the balances.
Okay, and they look for the entire plant and all the
entire
models, utilities, and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I think we have another question coming. What challenge do you have in tool acceptance for Sigmafine?
Yeah, the biggest challenge we had is that the mass always finds a solution that didn't fit into chemistry. Okay. So you always have to look if there is a problem, especially in a mass balance of a plant. Where is the reason for this mass imbalance? If it comes from another node, then it looks stupid for the production people, but it was the best solution for the mass. And then you have to clean up the other, find the original problem, and then also the problem on the plant gets away with it.
Yeah. So when you say that the chemistry doesn't follow the mass, do you have maybe just a short, concrete example of the kind of problems you ultimately find when you have such discrepancies?
I have to think of it. Yeah. Mainly, what we do in a plant is really a math balance, things going in and things going out. But chemistry also knows there is this belonging together. Some special outcomes has had a special relationship to some incoming stuff. And this is then, if there are big errors in the whole in the whole model, then also this get out of a normal range. And this often happens in this automated overnight one. And therefore we realized you cannot rely on this data. You have to do the checkups. You have to do your logistics imports are right, and then you can work with the reconciled data.
Okay.
And the automated data have too many of these problems.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. We have seen you are sending productions and consumption from Sigmafine to SAP daily. Do you also run a monthly alignment procedure?
No, we always send a look for daily cases and do correction on a daily basis.
Okay.
And the month's end process for us means now that you cannot do any changes on cases of the last month.
Okay.
So every correction will be at a special day of the month.
Okay. So in other words, the last day of the month is like any other day. It's more the principle that after the month end, you don't go back and change Sigmafine itself or Sigmafine data from previous period. Okay, understood. Another question coming. I think maybe you have partially answered this one already, but in the event the Pi server fails during the automatic case creation at the specified timestamp, what disruption does that cause, and do you have any backup?
If they normally we have defined default values for all the measurements, mostly the value of the day before. Mm-hmm. And if we have this kind of problems, Sigmafine can calculate and calculate with this data, and we have then a checkup if there are too many automated checkup in the overnight run, if there are too many default values used for the new case, and then we in the morning see automatically, oh, there was something there went something wrong at the overnight one.
Okay, very good. Other questions regarding your files for transfers, are they generated automatically by SAP, or do you have a scheduled manual manipulation in between SAP and Sigmafine, perhaps using Alteryx or something equivalent?
We have an IDOC interface between SAP and the SQL server and SAP more or less continuously sending us the new logistics data.
Okay.
And then we have a process how KSB will process that to Sigmafine, and Sigmafine in the end at a special point of time loads up the transfers to the model.
Okay, understood. How do you deal with weekend days? Do the balance guys work also on weekends?
No. Then Monday you have to look for 3 days in total, which worked well because especially the logistic work is less on over the weekends, and also most of the production plants are in steady state operation at the weekends. So in principle, weekends are easier to reconcile than normal working days.
Okay, very good. Well, this was the last question. Alexander, thank you very much for joining us and participating in our summit. You have done a fantastic project, you and your team, and we wish you a very good continuation in this project. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the possibility, and have a good and interested virtual summit with interesting discussions.
Okay, Thank you, sir. Okay, everyone. So this was a very good presentation, very well-organized Sigmafine model and process. Now let's move on to one of the key topic of this event. It's about Sigmafine Studio. Sigmafine Studio is a new Sigmafine Hub component, and we are introducing this for the first time to our users. The speakers will be Marco Lenteri giving us a high-level conceptual overview, and Elena Mola showing us some of the use cases that can be addressed with Sigmafine Studio. So, Marco, Elena, the stage is yours now. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. 1 year ago, we presented the Sigmafine Hub, a platform that accompanies customers in their digital transformation journey towards operational and business performance improvement, and that provides a scalable, extensible, and adaptive framework for data analysis. Sigmafine Hub preserves the investment of customers in building models and developing analytics. Along this year, our development team has done a tremendous work on the platform, and today it is our pleasure to talk about the values that the new application Sigmafine Studio can bring to you. Elena will make this even more clear, showing some examples of how your Sigmafine environment can be furtherly enriched through the power of Sigmafine Studio. As you know, the Sigmafine Hub platform is a multi-year development project which is changing the way we will use and consume Sigmafine data. Transforming data into digital assets is not only the Sigmafine Summit title, it is also the objective that is leading this initiative. 2 applications have already been released and are available within the Sigmafine Hub. Visualizer, the web frontend for Sigmafine users, and Admin, the administration module of Sigmafine Hub. Many others are in development under the hood. Today, Pimsoft is increasing the Sigmafine Hub portfolio, announcing the new Sigmafine Studio, which will be officially released end of this year. Make sure to stay connected after this presentation, and don't miss the product roadmap presentation from our product development team for more insights. Let's recall some of the pillars that are driving the full Sigmafine initiative. First of all, knowledge augmentation, which means deeper insights on the results you get with Sigmafine and better awareness when taking decisions based on this data. Collaboration. Never like in these years of physical separation, having a collaborative environment has been of paramount importance. Sigmafine Hub is natively designed to facilitate the interaction of people in a full web environment. We want to go even beyond the single organization, and more on this at the end of this presentation. Last but not least, we want to simplify our users' everyday life. So even complex calculations and analysis shall be made transparent, accessible, and easy to use to the end user. This is done for a common objective: bring value for everyone. customers, partners, and Pimsoft. Customers will have an enhanced user experience, better insights with the final objective to achieve qualitative superior results in less time. Partners will be empowered to build more features within the product itself, increasing the value that they can deliver when executing Sigmafine projects. Pimsoft will have a solid base to expand Sigmafine features and capabilities over time. Sigmafine Studio truly enables transforming Sigmafine datasets into digital assets. Through an extract, transform, and load approach, Sigmafine Studio reshapes the Sigmafine dataset, making it accessible in different ways, for example, through analytics, built-in reports, and interactive dashboards. Sigmafine Hub can describe the digital assets in several ways all at once. Not only a graphical model and an asset database, but also tabular views, interactive dashboards, and charts. This capability enables users to flexibly access and consume even complex datasets in the way that suits them best. The ability to create custom analytics with a zero-coding approach and the possibility to consume results directly in a familiar environment such as the visualizer make Sigmafine Studio the ideal application to reshape Sigmafine according to the different business requirements that it is asked to meet. It is a continuation of the Sigmafine long-standing story and of its unique capability of being both multi-industry and multi-purpose. Take the time to visit our recently redesigned website to know more about Sigmafine applications in several different industries. As everything is seamlessly integrated, the end result is a smooth user experience and a product coherence. Not a collection of applications anymore, but one unified environment. We are launching today Sigmafine Studio as a new app, but to say the truth, Studio is really at the core of the Sigmafine Hub initiative, and it is pervasively used to support complex searches through the visualizer search toolbar, for the creation and execution of quick calculations in the customized asset setting of each user, to a rich tabular and graphical representation of data through dashboards, and interactive reporting. And here is Elena to tell you more.
With this demo, I'm going to show you some situations where the Sigmafine Studio web app really improves the way you look at your Sigmafine dataset. First of all, you can see that the Sigmafine Studio is fully integrated in the Sigmafine Hub, and results are accessible by other Sigmafine Hub web apps like Visualizer. So you can go with your daily Sigmafine activities, such as open the display and select the case and start analyzing the data. It is not new, the Sigmafine provides a set of statistical indicators that helps you in analyzing your data for the diagnostic. But then you have to dedicate some time in realizing where the issue is, which data is missing, and most important, how to solve. Thanks to the Sigmafine Studio web app, you have now the power to develop some logic through the usage of the Studio Analytic that support your manual routines during all the process of data validation. Let's consider a very common situation that I'm pretty sure it can sound familiar to you. It may happen that some measurements in your site, for many reasons, return 0 or bad data. Now, imagine how useful it can be to have your analytic that returns the list of these measurements along your model in a sort of interactive summary table, and then make a comparison with their values in the previous case, with no need to spend time in closing the current case, open the previous one, and manually searching for the values you are interested in. Also, it would be incredibly advantageous to have some suggestions on the possible actions to take in order to solve the situation, for example, by adjusting the current value with the previous. And you can easily decide which actions to apply or not. Another common situation happens when you are analyzing your dataset and you notice a node, a tank, or process unit with a huge imbalance. You can start analyzing your data using the diagnostic panel inside the Sigmafine hub. And here you have the overview of all the statistical indicators. You can see that there is already something related to the ethanol receipt area. The meter has a value of test 1 very high. This means that the correction applied by Sigmafine to the measured mass is very high respect to the tolerance that you assign to your meter, as well as you can see the node has a test 3 very high, together with the test 4. These two indicators inform the users that maybe there is a problem in this area. But then with the Sigmafine Studio, you can easily decide not only to identify such imbalance points along your model, but also you can associate some suggestions. So you can have here the list of the imbalanced point that you have in your along your model. In this case, you notice that it's providing you the same information as the diagnostic gave you, but here, in addition, you can associate a suggested action. So maybe, okay, it tells you that the node ethanol here is imbalanced, but it also tells you that probably there is a missing input transfer. And when you analyze the area, you can notice that a transfer is missing from the receipt point to the node. Of course, this information can significantly reduce the time you spend on not only identify the problem itself, but also the solution to adopt. In this case, if you click, you can create your missing transfer, putting the source, the destination. You can even add some attributes if you want, or you can just create it. Here it is. The new transfer is now available, also in the model. And now you can run again your case. Now let me show you how the Sigmafine Studio extends and overcomes the way you are used to visualize the Sigmafine dataset. Here you see an interactive dashboard showing the movements that happen at your boundaries in both graphical and tabular view. And depending on your need, you can decide to group them by type so that you can have the detail of all the shipment movements with their source, the destination, the material that happened, and the receipt. Or you can even decide to group by material in case you're interested to check all the movements that happen for a specific material. And please notice that the two views are not separate, but they can interact. So by clicking on one material in the graph, the table updates consequently. Or also, you can monitor the unit production yield, both in tabular and graphical view, in such a way that you can investigate not only the production yield per each unit, simply by dragging and dropping the unit column, so that you can see per each unit the material produced in terms of produced amount, quantity, and yield in percentage, but also the overall productions per material in the graph that you can see here, together with the process unit where they came from. For example, you can easily check that the overhead production is done by 3 different process units with their respective quantities. And you can access to the same information also from here by grouping by material and searching for the material you are interested to. Furthermore, you can decide to go more in detail for the single unit and to select your desired unit and then open a more detailed. And if you want to go more in detail with the unit production yield, you can even select the unit you are interested in and access to the same information, but referred to only and filtered only for the unit that you select, so that you can see here in graphical and in tabular view the yield of the crude unit referred to the material produced by the unit, their quantity, and their yield in percentage. Till now, I showed you examples that apply to the balance analysis. But of course, the Sigmafine Studio supports even more advanced calculations. For instance, let's consider a composition tracking analysis that calculates the material composition of tanks, load and transfers based on their initial composition and the movements that happen during the analysis time frame. Thanks to the Sigmafine Studio, you can create an effective way to visualize and analyze the composition data of an element, for example, this tank, together with the material balance data within the same interactive dashboard. So you can have a complete overview of both the balance and the material composition. In terms of what enters to the tank, the input this tank has to transfer that enters, and the material detail. So at the end, you can access to all this information, and the composition tracking table results are visualized through a pie graph that update according to the selected elements. So you can even access to the composition that enters the tank. For example, this movement is is entering to the tank and is made 100% by West Texas sour. While by clicking here on the tank, you can access to the composition tracking results table of the tank. And the pie graph is useful because here any unexpected material will jump to the eye. Also, you can have a complete overview of all the materials that you have stored in your model based on the composition tracking results. You can see the material summary report that shows you in both tabular and graphical way. You can visualize all the material summary that you have with their respective quantity, so the total amount that you have in the model, or also can be very useful to see the details of the materials by tank. The tank one, for example, is made of 3 materials, the Arab Superlight, the West Texas Sour, West Texas Intermediate, and here, in one click, you can visualize directly their quantity respectively, with no need to select the attribute and expand the table of composition tracking results. Everything is directly reported here in the same Sigmafine Hub environment. And finally, at the end, you can have the detail per each tank of the materials that you have stored. And this is an interactive dashboard. As you can see, by clicking here, it tells you the same information in graphical view. So it automatically updates, giving you the data that you want to see. Back to you, Marco.
It's really amazing what Sigmafine Studio is enabling. Elena showed us analytics that help users not only to root cause the problem, but even propose solutions. Interactive reports that provide insights on the assets and on the overall balance envelope. Dashboards that interpret complex datasets, such as contextualize the results of composition tracking. And everything available at your fingertips without stepping out of the visualizer so that you can immediately take actions. And that is really awesome. But there is more. I'm pretty sure, whilst looking at the demo, that in your mind you were already thinking about what you could do if Studio were available in your Sigmafine environment right now. Well, you could say, I could create the refinery loss report. I could see all the metal grades of each stockpile all at once. I could compare in one table the LNG production of all my trains. I could put intelligence to pre-validate the reconciliation before Sigmafine users even reach the office. You could really do cool things without stepping out of Sigmafine. We want to leverage the experience and the creativity of each one of you, customers, partners, and Pimsoft consultants, and create a true Sigmafine community. Sigmafine Hub, and especially Sigmafine Studio, will be at the heart of this new Sigmafine vision. Number of analytics developed with Sigmafine Studio will increase over time for sure. So what if we create a way of breaking the boundaries and share the knowledge? Do you see the potential value and return on investment each of you could achieve? This is an idea we would like to develop in the next years, involving all the parties. Come back to us after this presentation. We want to have your opinion, feedback, and suggestions to make this a truly successful journey. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you, Marco, Elena, for this great presentation and for introducing us to that new Sigmafine product called Studio. And thank you for joining us live now for some Q&A. I think we have a couple of questions from the audience would like to submit to you. How is the yield of a unit calculated and stored in the model?
Well, I can answer to this question. So the yield of a unit is calculated in the AF, so in the database, where you have the possibility to create your own attributes and to set the calculation. So in this case, the yield of a unit was calculated per each stream that is produced as the ratio between the quantity that goes out, so the reconciled mass, we were focusing to the mass, respect to the total amount of the unit that is produced. So everything was in the AF and then showed in the Sigmafine Studio.
Okay. So Sigmafine Studio has the ability to query both AF and the Sigmafine Hub, let's say, analytics, but through a connection between the Sigmafine Hub and directly with the AF server, correct?
Yes, or you can decide to make the calculation directly in the Sigmafine Hub with no need to replicate the calculation in the AF. So you can choose which level to apply the calculation.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Next question. Okay, the different analysis shown in Studio are always related to a specific case, or can it be available for a sum of several cases, let's say a month?
Well, let's say that acquiring data from multiple cases is possible. We saw during the demo an example where we made a comparison between a data in the current case and in the previous case. So there is a Sigmafine code blocks in the analytics that you can use, and thanks to this, it's possible to access multiple selected cases.
Okay, thank you. And then any of these data that are across cases, they are queried every time from the Sigmafine server, or they're being stored as a result in the Sigmafine Hub?
Well, the data are always stored in the Sigmafine server, and then with the Studio you can query and access that data.
Okay, so Studio holds the rules or the query, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks to the object named Studio Analytic.
Okay. Next question. Will the Sigmafine Excel add-in be available after we switch to Sigmafine Hub?
Yeah, okay, I can pick up this one. Yes, I mean, Sigmafine Hub is not in contrast with what you are using right now. I mean, the objective, of course, is to expand the possibilities you have to analyze the data directly in the same environment, but still you will be able to query Sigmafine data also from Excel. So if you already built reports or calculation for your models, this will be, of course, still available and supported.
Okay, just a follow-on question, Marco or Elena. Is there a possibility that some of what you've shown us on the Studio presentation to export to Excel or to export outside of the Sigmafine Hub for use by direct use by users?
Yeah, let's say the interaction. For example, if you generate a report or a tabular view, however you want to call, in with Sigmafine Studio, then you can expose this data also to Excel, so save it externally. It's a let's say functionality is currently still under development, but it will be for sure part of the final objective of this release of Studio.
Okay, very good. Next question. Will the IMM be part of Sigmafine Hub? IMM, for benefits of other attendees, it's intelligent material movement. It's an add-on module to Signifying that some customers are using for material movement tracking. So the question is, will the IMM be part of Signifying Hub?
Okay. Probably we should. I would say let's keep the question for the next presentation by the product development, but because for sure they can address this better. Let's say I could anticipate just let's say about IMM. I mean, the server component is still, of course, integral to the Sigmafine server, so it's a different level respect to the hub. So we should split between all the core parts of IMM, which of course will be still working as they are, but this is already valid also for Sigmafine. So Sigmafine Hub is not replacing the Sigmafine server. It's a graphical layer, a web layer on top. For the IMM client side, of course, this let's say, which currently is viewed through Processbook, for sure this will need to be addressed instead a different way. But okay, as I said, it's not part of course of Sigmafine Studio or the visualizer that we are talking in this presentation. But okay, maybe the product development can address this in a better way. So
okay,
let's rerun this.
Yeah, we'll run this question a little bit later. Okay, very good. Can I insert data checks and or replacements as an additional step of my reconciliation workflow?
As we saw before in the presentation, the Sigmafine Studio works with the analytics, and you can add the data check and replacement that we saw as a suggestion made by the analytics as an additional step of the workflow. So exactly as you can execute actions in the Sigmafine Hub, such as running cases, create new cases, and execute the collect inputs and the run, you can also execute the analytics that can help you in the data checks and the replacements of data.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Elena. Other questions? I guess we are out of questions for this presentation. So thank you very much for putting this presentation together. I'm sure that, oh, here's another one.
Last second.
Last one, yeah. Last call. Is Sigmafine Hub ready for implementation for those clients that are ready?
Yes, we can say that. Let's say Sigmafine Hub as a platform. Yes, it's ready. So for customers which are interested, just reach out to your sales representative, your account manager, and then we can better define, let's say, how to address your requirements and proceed on that. Let's say the studio itself, let's say it's still okay. We announced today, but it's still currently in refining mode and will be officially available only after the end of this year. Whilst I mean, the Sigmafine Hub right now can be purchased and added on top of your clients with the visualizer and the admin modules.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Just for clarity for everyone, Sigmafine Hub was released in September this year and is available, is a released product. Some customers have already implemented it. We had a beta testing with some key customers as well beforehand, so the beta program is closed now. So in the next roadmap presentation, which is right after our break, which is in 5 minutes from now, we will be covering with the details of what's available now and what's coming available in 2022 from a product standpoint. Do we have any other questions, Ryan? I guess not.
That was the last one.
Okay, thank you. So therefore, we are. It's almost impossible to achieve if you wanted to do it, but we're right on schedule. So everybody gets a short 5-minute break, and we can come back at 11:30 for the product development roadmap presentation. So thank you very much, everyone. Stay with us and come back in 5 minutes. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. We are halfway through our journey at this summit today, and we are going to start this second part of the summit with the product development roadmap presentation. Sorry, for Sigmafine and Sigmafine Hub. Before we start, I just have to let you know that the speakers for this talk are normally David Saul and Massimo Hapra. Unfortunately, David will not be the one. You will not hear David on the presentation. David has been sick for a while, but he had time to prepare the notes, so we had someone record his notes on his behalf. But also, unfortunately, David passed away 2 days ago, and due to a long fight with cancer. So he won't be, of course, making the presentation, but the ideas you'll hear are his, and we are all very sorry by this. So, Ryan, we can start the product roadmap presentation.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Engineering Roadmap presentation. This is a great opportunity to share with you the current status and the future of the SF Hub initiative. This is how we intend to support the transition from data to actionable insights that can assert strategic and economic significance to streaming data and events. Today, we want to share with you the investments we have made in the products and the journey that we are pursuing to provide a new great experience with Sigmafine. The focal point of this presentation is the Sigmafine Hub. We'll go through the current release and we'll see how it is evolving into a platform supporting the digital transition. Although the primary goals are to augment the value and scope data, as well as to increase productivity and usability, we also keep in strong consideration all the investments made. That's why SF Hub helps in transforming data into digital assets, remaining fully compatible with your existing systems, and preserves everything that has been developed using the current technology. We have built things to help make your job easier because we know your job is time-consuming and centered around critical operations on the assets in the plant. SF Hub is the initiative launched by Pimsoft years ago with the aim of designing and planning the development of Sigmafine by addressing the technological evolution and digital transformation, all while maintaining total compatibility with current technology. During Q3 of this year, the first version of Sigmafine Hub was released, and the beta testing program was completed. The first release consists of SF Hub Application Server, the component that enables access to the current Sigmafine via web browser-based applications. The two main web apps, Visualizer and Admin, together with the Login web app. In parallel, the automatic display conversion service from Processbook format to Sigmafine Hub format has been activated. But development continued, and by the end of 2021, we expect to release Studio, one of the most significant initiatives of the SF Hub program, together with the release of a new version of Visualizer that includes support for the new features enabled by Studio. Studio will be released with two web apps, Analytic and Dashboard Report. With Studio, SF Hub is now ready to support the digital transformation by delivering extended Sigmafine case, the foundation of the digital assets factory, and unleashing fully new operating modes. Building the digital assets factory required to extend the definition of the current Sigmafine case. Here you see the new SF Hub extended case. SF Hub extended case maintains the current case dataset formed by the elements and their data, by enriching it both at the case and element level with insights. The extended case is also extended with a full audit that tracks all actions, such as changes, so now you know exactly how data contained in the case was created, a relevant feature from compliance scopes. With SF Hub, the case is also monitored even when the activities are completed, and any operations that affect the consistency of the data automatically detected and made available. In today's world, users transform data into insights. They have to go through the entire process for understanding the context. This is a time-consuming activity and requires expertise and knowledge. With SF Hub, it is now possible to convert data into valuable insights that are made available to users who can then focus on corrective actions, saving time and standardizing processes. As we see in the example, the imbalance, the data, is now integrated by the cause, the lack of an input transfer. But the digital asset will also allow the creation of a new class of insights, the actionable insights. Similarly to what has been seen above, users are today responsible for taking corrective actions, and again, this is time-consuming and requires knowledge and expertise. But it is now possible to convert data into actionable insights. That's not only information, but ready to execute actions, leaving the user the validation step. As we see in the example, ready to execute actions are proposed together with insights, the reason, and the user has to validate and let the system take care of their execution. SF Hub integrates Sigmafine, enabling new features and new applications, and as we see in the slide, it is compatible with the latest versions of Sigmafine. Therefore, SF Hub can be adopted by anyone running a version 4.6.5 or higher, simply by installing the new SF Hub product. SF Hub is not invasive. Everything development on the current system is preserved and continues to work. SF Hub brings further major improvements that elevate data usability by transforming current application islands into an asset-centric environment that enables a powerful new way of working with Sigmafine. Let's take a look at this first video in which we want to show you how different data visualizations can now work together in a coordinated and integrated way thanks to the interoperability offered by SF Hub. We want to demonstrate the interoperability of Sigmafine Hub applications, which is their ability to use the same features available from the visualizer display, even using a different data rendering mechanism, which in our case is a report. Here you can see a display which also has a report that I have activated from the command bar of the visualizer. The report shows the meters test 1 performance indicator, providing a graphical and tabular view of our information, allowing us to interact with the display. The report gives us standard filtering options on the meter template, as well as the possibility to organize our data into multiple pages. Using only the report, we have all the full options, such as navigating on the display elements, viewing information contained in their attributes, and even more, we can adjust attribute values through the attribute panel. The Sigmafine case runner is also available to run the reconciliation. As you can see, as a result of changes on the Sigmafine case, the report data is not valid. The notification message is reminding me that I must refresh the data. In future releases, a setting will be made available to allow automatic data updating. To wrap things up, we can say that with Sigmafine Hub, we have the advantage of being able to work using our preferred approach without losing the functions that are available on the system, as well as exploiting the interoperability between the applications themselves. But how easy is it to use the new applications? Let's see in this second video. The scope of this video is to demonstrate how easy it is to modify a report or a dashboard, taking advantage of the integration between the report and the report editor, allowing us to make the desired changes and immediately evaluate the results. By opening a report from the visualizer, we can activate the report editor to make graphical changes. The report editor opens, and then we can modify the report by adding a new content that is a data grid, and then assign a data source from which to pull the data. Configure an action on the meter column that allows to locate the element on the display, and then add a relation between the chart and the data grid in order to enable the lookup. The last change is to add an image of the company and then save the report. Once the report changes are saved, we can open it again from the visualizer and see the results of the changes made. We can look up between the two visuals as working, and the meter localization on display is working as expected. We have just seen how the new web apps provide an incredible new experience, allowing users to work with Signifying by freely choosing the preferred mode: display on, dashboard, report only, or integrated display and dashboard report. But not only that, we also have seen two very important aspects. Dashboards and reports are for everyone, do not require special skills, and are natively integrated into the SF Hub platform. But perhaps most important of all, we've seen the particular feature that sets SF Hub Dashboard Report apart from other reporting tools. SF Hub Dashboard and Reports are live and interact automatically with data changes, becoming a new mode to work with the system. In summary, SF Hub dashboards and reports do not replace the other reporting tools, but complement them by offering users a different way of interacting with Signifying. Lastly, we would like to show you how easy it is to extract, transform, and view your Signifying data, creating from scratch an analytic and a dashboard. We would now like to demonstrate how easy and quick it is to create an SF Hub analytic and report to show the data pull out by the analytic. In this example, we will collect and totalize the inventory mass, grouped by material, to be shown in the report. As a first step, we have to create the analytic, and using the SF code block editor, we will create the logic to carry out the required data collection. The first one is the main, and then a couple of set code blocks, where the first is a dictionary where we store the material quantities, and the second one is configured to load our dictionary with the reconciled mass. We save the analytic, assigning a name that is total mass. We now create a report to show the data collected by our analytic. A data grid is created from the Visuals menu, and a data source is assigned selecting the analytic that we have just created. A chart is also created to show a graphical representation of the material stocks, using the same data source assigned to the data grid. We assign the donut graphical aspect to the chart, and then we configure the necessary parameters to populate the chart. For added readability, we enable the tooltip and then the legend we would like to make visible on the right side of the chart. Finally, we create a relation between the data grid and the chart using the material in order to set up an animation when the users click on a material code. As a final step, we have to save the report by assigning a name. In order to make our report available in the Visualizer application, we need to configure the new report in our display settings. As you can see, the report is now available in the Visualizer command bar, and we can open it to see our material stock. So far it looks good, but what's next? Let's look 1 year ahead and see the next evolution of the SF Hub platform. End of next year, we expect to extend Visualizer web app with authoring capabilities and to release one new major feature, Studio Workflow. The introduction of authoring will allow to create and modify displays in a synchronized way with the database, allowing users to discontinue Processbook, the current authoring tool. Notice or remember discounting Processbook is not a requirement but an option. The introduction of authoring will also require the deployment of a first version of a new service, SF Hub Server. The service will master and coordinate access to authoring resources and to the database. But there is more. By the end of 2022, early 2023, the release of a new Studio component, the Workflow, is also planned. Workflow introduces a new way to use and work with Sigmafine, moving from an application-centric to a process-centric approach, transforming Signifying from a set of independent applications to a documented, coordinated, and audited bus of applications and services. The process-oriented approach not only will allow to focus on the sequence of steps, actions that are necessary, but also, and above all, to orchestrate, execute, and control the set of activities that are part of the whole elaboration process. Completed the first step of development and the release of the new Sigmafine features and functionalities. On the one hand, we foresee a continuous improvement activity of the release components, and on the other hand, an infrastructural expansion is foreseen. However, we must consider that we live in technological contexts characterized by strong and fast evolutions and variations, for which today the roadmap addresses the two main development areas: support for distributed architectures and integration. Review in summary the set of infrastructural components and applications that are part of the roadmap, highlighting the components available starting from 2021. SF Hub is ready to help and simplify your work, in a nutshell, to provide you with a new Sigmafine experience. Let's now move on to the second part of the presentation, dedicated to the Sigmafine server component. Let me introduce Massimo Pra, who will continue the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Massimo Pra, and I am the Sigmafine technical leader at Pimsoft. Today, I will illustrate our Sigmafine roadmap, and we will start from Sigmafine 4.7. We will take a look to the medium-term Sigmafine server roadmap. It is important to underline that Sigmafine Server is still the frame on which Sigmafine Hub is founded. Therefore, all Sigmafine plugins play an important role in feeding Sigmafine Hub with data calculated from data references as well as by the analysis rules. In Q1 of 2021 has been released the latest version of Sigmafine that basically is a technological alignment with OSIsoft and Microsoft as well. But 2021 represents also the end of line of Sigmafine 4.6 as we know today. Sigmafine Server will become part of the Sigmafine Hub, so all the plugins will continue to be supported and enhanced to fit the requirement as well as the needed technical alignment. On Q3 of 2021, some patches have been released for Sigmafine 4.7 R2 and Service Pack 2. That server patches are as much as possible applied to the most recent releases in order to guarantee an acceptable continuity. Sigmafine 4.7 R2 subscription edition includes the same features and functionalities of Sigmafine 4.7 R2, except that the subscription edition is regulated by different kind of license agreement. Here are some details about the patch that have been released for Sigmafine 4.7 Service Pack 2. Basically, we release 2 patches for the Sigmafine server that basically fix some bugs on the analysis rule and also in the Sigmafine, sorry, Sigmafine utilities data reference. There is also a patch for the Sigmafine Excel add-in just to improve the registration of some component. And at the end, we have a fix in the Sigmafine integration framework. Regarding the patch released for Sigmafine 4.7 R2, we have also in that case a patch for Sigmafine server. Also in that case regarding the data reference and fix the Sigmafine data loader. Also, we have a patch for Sigmafine Excel add-in. Also, basically, is the same patch that we applied for the Service Pack 2. Again, we have a patch for patch 2 for Sigmafine integration framework, as well as a patch 1 for the Sigmafine SQL Access server. Okay, in this slide we can see an overview of the Sigmafine versions currently supported. As you can see, they span from 4.6 R2 until 4.7 R2. Each one is basically aligned to a well-defined version of the underlying Microsoft and OSIsoft platform. So we start from Windows Server 2012 and PyF Server 2015 until the latest version that is aligned with the Windows Server 2019 and PyF Server 2018 service pack. But please note that Sigmafine 4.7 R2 has been built and certified to work with PyServer 2018 Service Pack 3. Then you have to pay attention at the PyCon connectors that are no longer supported by this version of the PyLetterPy. Anyway, Sigmafine 4.7 R2 works also with the early version of PyServer, and in case of need, you can continue to support the CON connectors. Let us see in detail now how in future the different Sigmafine server versions will be supported by Pimsoft. Starting from the first row of the table, we can see that Sigmafine 4.6 R2 until R4 version, they will enter in maintenance starting from the next year for different reasons. First of all, for security reasons, because they are founded on all versions of Windows Server and of the .NET framework. And second, because they are now compatible with Sigmafine Hub. Regarding Sigmafine Server 4.6 R5, it is compatible with Sigmafine Hub by installing a dedicated patch. But we believe that starting from 2023, also this version will be obsolete. Sigmafine Server 4.7 and 4.7 R2 will continue their life, since these are the reference version for Sigmafine Hub, and they are significantly aligned with the latest security practice. This table summarize instead how Sigmafine client version will be supported. Here the situation is completely different, since influenced by the retirement of by Processbook, as well as by the adoption of Sigmafine Hub. Starting from the Sigmafine model for by Processbook, it is still supported in 2021, but it will enter in maintenance starting from 2022, and in 2024 the component will be retired, since Processbook is also retired by OSIsoft. The same apply also from Sigmafine Advanced Diagnostic Add-in for Processbook for the same reasons, basically. Regarding Sigmafine Data Loader and the Data Importer, they are supported until the end of 2022. After that, they will enter in maintenance. Consider that starting from 2023, the loading data feature will be integrated in Sigmafine.
Okay, thank you very much, Massimo. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
For the Q&A session. Yes, good morning to you as well. Okay, so let's dive in. What does the end of Processbook, end of 2022 mean? This is our first question.
Yes. The end of Processbook is planned by OSIsoft by the end of 2024. So that means that it will be no longer supported. Starting from 2022, it will enter in maintenance. That means that all the add-in that are provided by Pimsoft will be continue to be maintained. It means in terms of bug fixing, if any, but no further development are planned. So it means, just to complete my answer, it will enter all the add-in that are based on Processbook will enter in maintenance. So that means that we will continue to provide support in case of problem. But starting from 2024, we no longer support also our Sigmafine add-ins.
Okay, thank you. For those of you who want to know more about this, on the support site of OSIsoft, you will find the termination notice or the support notice for Processbook, which is something I think that most bike customers have been aware of for a couple of years. So, next question.
I expected this question because I think that someone got worried, but
yeah.
Okay. First of all, okay, we want to assure that EMEA is in the roadmap, even if it was not clearly highlighted during the presentation of the roadmap. this is because IMM is aimed of a study and of a broader evaluation, which is currently in progress. What we can assure and sustain today is that IMM server is currently not subjected to any kind of change, because the business rules that are implemented inside remain as is. So no change will be made. We will continue to support the IMM server. So the exposed services will be, sorry, 100% available. Where we are working today about IMM, okay, we are thinking to include in Sigmafine Studio and Sigmafine Hub, as well as in Sigmafine Studio, additional feature in order to enable the integration with the IMM service. But currently we have no further detail.
Okay, thank you, Massimo. I'm sorry, I think we are experiencing some issues with the streaming. I don't know if all of you are seeing or not seeing the questions on the screen. So the last question was, will the IMM be part of Sigmafine Hub, which is one that was previously discussed. Brian, could you share with us the next question, please?
How much knowledge does it take to compose an analytic?
Bernard, are you still not seeing the question?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the question. If you could just put it in
I'll
the
read
chat
it
for me. Yeah. Okay.
How much knowledge does it take to compose an analytic? Will there be analytics already built as examples when Sigmafine Studio comes out?
Okay. There are two questions I understood. Creating an analytic does not require a particular knowledge. We create an editor, an environment to create an analytic that is really user-friendly, because we adopted the philosophy to use the code blocks to create a logic. So that code blocks are really intuitive, order to be well documented. Okay, so we guess that everyone will be able to create an analytic. It is clear that the minimum requirement to have the vision about what is the Sigmafine environment. So you have to have the knowledge on Sigmafine, what are the Sigmafine case, what are the Sigmafine attributes. But the idea is to make available an environment that is really intuitive, so everyone can create an analytic. The second question, if there will be analytics that are built in Sigmafine Hub. Yes, we are working on that. So basically to provide basic analytics that can be immediately used by the customer, and at the same time they can provide a real example of already created analytic. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, Ryan. I can see the questions now. So what new or improved security measures have been implemented into Sigmafine Hub?
Security, yeah. Yes. What Sigmafine Hub is a step forward in terms of application safety. First of all, the client now is a web browser, and the communication with the web browser is protected by HTTPS protocol. And the login procedure, as well as the browser session management, are secure and implement a safe mechanism to avoid the intrusions. Each extended message is protected by own anti-intrusion mechanism, basically. And in general, all the Sigmafine Hub software components have been successfully passed the OWASP intrusion test, as well as the SQL injection.
Okay, thank you for this information about the security. Will it be possible to create generic analytics to distribute through the Sigmafine Hub?
The answer is yes. We are working on this topic because it is a very important fundamental topic of the Sigmafine Hub analytic. By the way, the idea is that it will be possible to save an analytic as a distribution package, and that package can be installed into the production environment to be acquired and get ready to run. So basically, the analytic is something that is stored in the Sigmafine Hub database, but at the same time, it will be possible to export the logic as a distribution package that you can distribute and install in different environments.
Okay, that's interesting. Next question. When Processbook is discontinued, how will we be able to make changes to our graphical models? And will this mean that all users need to change to Sigmafine Hub?
Yeah, okay. Processbook will be is sunsetted in 2024. Okay, but in the meantime, Processbook is still supported. Okay, what it means that from the Sigmafine Hub's perspective, the customer can continue to use a single installation of Processbook to maintain and modify the display. But if you look at the Sigmafine roadmap, our vision is to release by the end of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023 the authoring tool. That means that customer could change the display using Sigmafine Hub, and so they can dismiss the Processbook. But in the meantime, we still have a window of 1 year where the authoring tool is not yet available. In that case, the customer can continue to use Processbook to change the display.
Yes. Yeah. So essentially, new customers adopting Sigmafine today will basically use the Sigmafine Hub only for visualization and have a sort of a build time copy of Processbook to modify, build and modify models. But the general users won't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, using the Processbook terminology, let me say, we have a visualizer for the run mode, and still Processbook for the build mode, but only for 1 year.
One more year, yes. Yeah. And the authoring capability will be built into the Sigmafine visualizer, at least. That's the plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I think we have. I think we're done. I think we don't have any more questions. So Thank you, Massimo, for
Thank
this
you.
presentation. Lots of details about the roadmap. So I'm sure it's has a lot of people thinking about what their next step is going to be with Sigmafine. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Okay, so now we're getting into a different kind of presentation. I guess one of the most common words that people have used in the industry in the last few years is digital transformation or digitalization or digital this or digital that, including the twins and everything. So this is a phenomenon that is going across all industries. So we thought we'd invite someone who is a thought leader, in the oil and gas business, who is Craig Arclerold. He's industry principal for the oil and gas business at OSIsoft, now Aviva. Craig has got 40 years of experience working in the oil and gas at all aspects, from the control automation to information management to engineering and so on and so forth. He worked for end users, producing refined products. He also worked for automation companies. He worked for consulting companies, and he has worked for OSIsoft for, I believe, well over 10 years. So Greg has been at the intersection point of many conversations involving information management in the oil and gas industry. So today he's going to present his views, which he calls layers of digital capabilities that an organization should have in order to be successful to face the challenge coming into the future, which are decarbonization, operating performance improvement, and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to introduce Craig, and we're ready to start his presentation. He'll join us after for Q&A.
I'm going to open my presentation with a question for you to ponder. What do you think is your most important asset, and the most important asset for the oil and gas and hydrocarbon processing industries? Many of you will think it's people, my employees. Others may be the assets in our business strategy and how we combine those to find differentiated and drive business value. My perspective, and my goal is to help you understand this in how it underpins everything we do in today's world by introducing and talking about operational data, OT data, that data that streams from many different sources across the enterprise. I'm going to be talking about the concept of a digital asset as presented by Douglas Laney in the book Infonomics, where he talks about the role and importance of the digital asset and how companies should really focus on strategic management, measurement, and monetization. Not monetization in the sense of you may think of selling your data and your information, but rather you leveraging that data to drive economic value. I'm going to be linking that to 3 digital enablers and how those 3 digital enablers underpin everything, and then obviously showing the core of how the digital asset really is at the core of this. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the importance of data quality and trust, and then again link these back to my hypothesis and perspective is really the digital asset is the foundation for decarbonization, operational excellence, business transformation, and advanced analytics. So let's begin the journey through this particular flow of my presentation. First, I want to talk about and show you the big picture of this digital and foundational role of the digital asset by introducing and positioning the bidirectional integration of layers of digital capabilities. The first and foremost starts with time series data and metadata coming into a streaming, smart, operational data infrastructure. Many of those will recognize that is the capabilities of the PI system. The PI system forms a foundational key framework for Sigmafine, where streaming analytics, event frames, and notifications are all wrapped around a very high-performant linear data archive. Streaming data, operational data infrastructure then links into the digital asset, where the digital asset provides model-based data validation and data sets with the objective of minimizing data error. The digital asset then links into and supports advanced analytics, and ultimately we call the digital twin. There's other data sources coming into these digital capabilities, but again, my hypothesis and my position is that these digital capabilities underpin key initiatives, again, operational excellence, business transformation, decarbonization, and advanced analytics. And at the core is the digital asset. Let's kind of drill down a little bit around each of these layers. The first layer is a streaming smart operational data infrastructure. It consumes not only time series data and associated metadata from a number of different sources, including Edge, LIMS, MES, SCADA, DCS, etc., but also metadata, such from the maintenance management system, the engineering system, maybe tabular data, maybe the web, maybe 2, 3, 4D URL links. But there's certain key capabilities that the smart operational data infrastructure provide. First and foremost is pervasive, agnostic integration, abstraction, normalization, and contextualization. Many companies that I work with still are working in a tag-based ecosystem and a portfolio of Excel-based applications where self-serve is provided to the SMEs, but at a price. That price is a company speaking multiple language. Think about a global economy today where you have multiple languages, and how inefficient that is, and how siloed that is. The smart operational data infrastructure brings us together and normalizes, abstracts tags into a common naming lexicon, provides a normalization of units of measure and time zones, and then provides a contextualization necessary to provide understanding and relationship of the data. And this is foundational. The next everything, obviously in today's world, is data and cybersecurity and data ownership and data governance. Next is the area of being able to do gross error detection and a little bit more, rules-based, etc. But the point is this is your first line of data quality, and it's best done as close to the data source as possible. But there are some significant capabilities in gross error detection at this level. But as I will talk about in the future, this is just a beginning. Next, there's a lot of knowledge captured in SMEs in their wisdom and the need to have self-serve capabilities. This is why a lot of SMEs live in Excel, because it provides that self-serve configurable capability. The problem is it's tag-based and it's very, very siloed, and you have Excel hell. The question is how you bring this all together. How you bring this all together is through the use of configurable smart asset objects and templates. This ability for the SME in an agile way to develop and codify and configure in no-code capabilities these digital objects that are used like Lego blocks to be able to form and combine together to form a digital replica of a physical system at the base level. Next is the ability to configure streaming analytics, events, and notification. Be able to have this become real-time and basically provide this real-time capability, provide decision support. Next is the ability then to provide operational data management and to be able to have a consistent, it's almost like a system of record, almost like a charts of accounts, akin to the financial side. It's a one-stop shop for data. For further illustration, I'd like to walk through a story about this smart operational data infrastructure and the role and power of these configurable operational templates. As you well know, every company, every unit has a set of asset classes with pumps, turbo expanders, towers, exchangers, etc. This capability allows the subject matter experts, and that's a key word, to self-serve configure these smart asset class templates, categories, and attributes. The attributes can be operational data tags, it could be metadata, it could be tabular data, engineering data, data from the maintenance management system, etc. Anything necessary to describe the asset class. The next thing is these are all combined in asset and template library that then take a physical, in this case, a gas plant, but the same is used for a refinery or a chemical plant, etc. Take a physical gas plant and convert it into a digital replica. These are then formed to be able to form the hierarchical model with different pivot views that provide this foundation for visualization and real-time decision support across the enterprise. And so this capability that's unique and powerful within the operational data infrastructure. It forms the foundation for these integrated digital capabilities. So let's kind of now expand to the role of the digital asset, providing this validated operational data sets. Coming from the streaming smart operational data infrastructure, you have error in the measurements. This is something very unique, I think, for operational data and information. So many companies are looking at applying traditional IT technology that don't have the deep understanding. Okay, so now that we've gone through the smart streaming operational data infrastructure, I would like to now transition and present the digital asset and its foundational role by providing validated operational data sets. As many of you know, operational data is messy. A lot of volume, velocity, and variability, and inherent error that, if not handled properly, can propagate and expand as these data sets are consumed and combined. The role of the digital asset is to be able to take knowledge and wisdom from the subject matter experts, to be able to provide tracking and genealogy of the data sets, apply business rules, provide and apply model network-based structure to be able to do data reconciliation, whether it be you have multiple different measurements. You have component, volume, energy, mass, that all can be used to start looking and identifying data error and then acting to minimize that, ultimately providing data validation. These operational data sets are then become the system of record. And again, the main thing is providing minimization of data error. Because again, as data error is propagated, without this capability, it basically expands and jeopardizes the strategic implementation of many of these key initiatives. So building on to the third digital capability is the digital twin. And believe me, digital twin is a hype of today, and everyone has a different definition of the digital twin. Okay, hopefully this presentation, in my perspective, may clarify that, because the digital asset in the holistic sense is really a combination of a number of smaller digital twins that are system of records for particular parts of the organization and the information flow data chain. Again, coming out of the digital asset, you have operational system of records and operational data sets that have been validated. The digital twin is the system of systems. It provides at the core operational chart of accounts. Again, coming from the smart data infrastructure and the digital asset. This is similar to the financial chart of accounts or the system of record, where all operational data, it is where all operational data is brought together, is validated in a single source of the truth. There's also the financial chart of accounts, engineering digital twin. You have the assets, asset management systems. You have the compliance and carbon system of records, HR, and advanced analytics. All these system of records need to be synchronized and orchestrated, meaning as one asset is changed in one system of record, how does it orchestrate and be propagated throughout the rest of the system of records? This is what the digital twin is all about. Okay, with that understanding of these three integrated digital capabilities, I'd like to go back to operational data quality, because it is foundational and really the power of this digital asset to handle and address the variability, volume, and velocity, and the value of operational data. As we talked about, and as many of you may know, operational data coming from instruments has inherent variability and data quality issues. Got drift, there's a whole propagation, there's a whole number of different types of data quality issues in real world operational data. With this data and these errors propagated, and they jeopardize these strategic initiatives by providing poor quality data that undermines the decision making and actually the value and purpose of these strategic initiatives. The digital asset is really there to focus on reducing data error and providing and enabling these strategic initiatives with quality, validated data that enables better decision making. So let's kind of apply this to those four different areas. And I want to focus largely on carbon data management, largely because that is, sustainability and ESG is the rave and focus of today. And so I'm going to focus on that first. Companies that I work with I've kind of categorized these into 8 dimensions of decarbonization and carbon data management. First, companies are looking at optimizing their value chain planning and scheduling, not just around financial or currency or dollars, monetary, but also carbon. So you have this duality of optimization is occurring in what your crude selection and the carbon intensity index, and being able to understand and optimize not only the financial dimension, but also the carbon footprint position. Next, we're foreseeing focus on a double down on accelerating traditional energy efficiency efforts. Energy management, minimizing, the O2, the excess air in furnaces, etc. Next, we're seeing a lot of focus on and thinking about electrification, taking steam drivers and other non-electrical energy source or motive forces and converting those to electrical, but also needing to upgrade the electrical infrastructure. And many companies fail to fully understand the need to upgrade their infrastructure to handle the electrification and the renewable aspects. Next, there's a focus on hydrogen production, blue and green and gray, and also the integration of the O2 that's produced by specifically the green side of the hydrogen production. How do you take that O2 and monetize it or run it back in to drive and support maybe your traditional energy efficiency efforts? Carbon reduction and CCUS is another big focus. Companies are looking at electrical sourcing options and being able to do JVs or to install renewable energy on or in their refineries or chemical plants or around your pump stations. Contracting with stakeholders to provide this green energy into their electrical distribution system and sourcing systems. Companies are looking at supply chain digital carbon and accounting integration. How do you extend energy management, environmental management, and carbon data management to where you have this ability to have this transparency and traceability and governance that supports the overall carbon trading and all the reporting and management thereof. Lastly, companies are obviously looking at changing their business models and understanding how can they capture and increase value from decarbonization. At the heart of this is the digital asset. It is the component that drives validated data and carbon data that supports each of these 8 dimensions. Relating this back to business transformation, I would like to say that I think a lot of confusion is in the industry because I hear digital transformation a lot. My opinion is there's really 2 components. There's digitally enabled business transformation, and there's digitally enabled operational excellence, which I'll talk about briefly after this. Business transformation, in my mind, is leveraging digital technologies to fundamentally change the business model, the strategy, the industries people are going into, the services that they're offering, etc. The digital asset underpins this by helping drive and bring quality data and decision support to existing business strategies, to be able to open up doors and understanding and being able to venture into new business strategies and new businesses, to be able to start sharing data in this ecosystem, this digital value chain, as I call it, where data, carbon data, et cetera, is going to be shared amongst stakeholders. And then lastly is using digital technology to accelerate each of these dimensions. Okay, so I've linked the digital asset and these digital capabilities to decarbonization, business transformation. I'd like now to talk about it in the context of operational excellence. As I mentioned to you earlier, I feel that digital transformation really encompasses 2 dimensions. One around digitally enabled business transformation. The second dimension is around digitally enabled operational excellence. Operational excellence, we all know, is about people and culture and empowerment, self-serve, rewarding, measuring people and culture as performance. It's also about digitally enabled work processes and business process automation. It's also about technology and technology simplification and leveraging new digital technologies in this acceleration and enablement. But it's also about continuous improvement. And so the point is that the combination, to me, digital transformation is really digitally enabled business transformation and digitally enabled operational excellence. And at the core is the digital asset and these 3 digital capabilities. Okay, now that I've kind of talked about the digital asset and its relationship, the decarbonization, business transformation, and operational excellence, I'd like to now talk about the digital asset in the area of advanced analytics and the importance of having an analytics and what I call a pragmatic OT-focused hybrid cloud strategy. As we all know, AI is the hype of the day. Everyone's focused on advanced analytics, AI, machine learning, et cetera, et cetera. My belief is companies need to have an analytical framework. And I'm going to use the Tesla as an analogy as I walk through this. As we all know, on the Tesla, it has very powerful streaming analytics, and underneath there's gross error detection. There's redundancy in sensors, but at the core, it is an on-prem, aka on the car, single tenant, so it's highly secure, but it does streaming analytics. However, and these streaming analytics can be described as descriptive, diagnostic, and simple predictive in the context of the operational data infrastructure. The Tesla also has great advanced analytics and machine learning with validated data sets, et cetera, in the cloud. Going back to Tesla, they're doing a lot of analytics, car analytics, equipment analytics, et cetera, that augment and support and reinforce what is being done on-prem. These analytics can be broken into advanced analytics, predictive, and AI. in the context of operation, in the operational or industrial operational area. The point is, you need both of these. And these analytics are integrated. There's bidirectionality. So there's streaming analytics and the data sets going up into the cloud, but it's also important to have operationalization of the advanced analytics back into the lower levels where you can do plan versus actual and understand and do forecasts and see and provide this augmented reality or augmented intelligence at the lower levels. So this bidirectionality is very key. So where do these operational, these three digital capabilities lie? Obviously, the smart operational data infrastructure sits in the on-prem streaming analytical side. On the right hand, you have the digital twin and the system of records and the advanced analytics that go into that. But at the core is the digital asset. It's the one that links these two digital capabilities together to provide this holistic, fundamental capability that is critical, in my opinion, to underpin the business strategies of today, these key initiatives. So now I'd like to bring this all back together and offer some key takeaways and questions for you to ponder. I've talked about the layers of digital capabilities, the three, which are the streaming, smart operational data infrastructure, the digital asset, and the digital twin, and position where advanced analytics fit in those three digital capabilities. I've talked about how these digital capabilities underpin the four key initiatives of operational excellence, business transformation, decarbonization, and advanced analytics in a general sense. And I've talked about the importance of the digital asset. So the question is, how is your company measuring, managing, and monetizing what I believe is your most important asset, your operational data? Next, how about data quality and trust? Is your company actively aware and acting of the challenges of operational data quality and have in place a program to minimize operational data error? Next, is there a strategy or an understanding or awareness of the digital asset, which, as I have communicated to you, I feel is a nexus of each of these four business imperatives? Does your company have a digital asset strategy? Does your company have an analytics framework? Have you defined layers of analytics and looked and rationalized fit-for-purpose technology for each of those layers? Or are you focused strictly on advanced analytics and not having the foundation to have effective advanced analytics? Do you have a hybrid cloud strategy that respects operational data nuances and is pragmatic and work with technology from companies who have operational technology in their DNA? Or are you working with technology that really stems from an IT organization that's looking at clicks and other things in a generic sense and trying to apply that to operational data? Lastly, I like to reinforce that the 3 M's and the SS strategies, which is one, make me more money sustainably. And secondly, where you start simply, but simply start on your journey towards a digital asset. I'd like to say thank you. I hope you found the presentation to be informative, inspirational, and make you ponder a little bit about these concepts. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Craig. This is a great presentation, and I think it stitches together a lot of the concepts that were presented this week at our summit. So thank you very much for putting that together. Craig, I think a few minutes ago we were having issues connecting Craig for the live session of the Q&A. Can you tell me if we were able to have him connect at this point?
Not able to get him connect just yet.
Okay. Good. So I'm sorry, everyone. If we're able to connect Greg, we'll bring him back maybe after the next presentation, just to take some questions that some of you shared. If not, we'll be in touch with him and make sure that we get back to you with some of the answers that you're looking for. So it's unfortunate, but this is the reality of doing live events. And so our next and final presentation is about something that probably every one of you has in the back of their mind. Okay, we've talked about the Signifying Hub a lot, and so you're probably asking yourself, you know, how do I get there? What do I have to do to evaluate this, implement this? How big of a change it is. So we have a presentation prepared by Carolina Testa, one of our Sigmafine specialists, which will walk you through the steps on how to go. Carolina, the floor or the virtual floor is yours.
Hello everyone, I am Carolina Testa, Sigmafine Product Specialist at Pimsoft. Today I will talk about getting started with Sigmafine Hub. This presentation is for those who are interested in Sigmafine Hub and need to know how to proceed in order to get it. Getting started with Sigmafine Hub does not mean to revolution your system, it means to improve it instead. Your current Sigmafine models and analysis will be preserved, and the current display will be maintained, even if they need conversion. Also, the configuration that have been implemented in your Sigmafine server will be maintained. It adapts to the current Sigmafine server installation for the Sigmafine version that are supported. Say that you can define the best onboarding plan for your organization, including installation and training. Here the sequence of actions that getting started with Sigmafine Hub requires. First, define installation scenario. In other words, define the architecture of the new Sigmafine Hub system. Second, update Sigmafine system as needed. According to the system requirements, it may be necessary to upgrade the Sigmafine server version. 3. Install Sigmafine Hub. Optional remote installation package is available for this step. 4. Sigmafine display conversion. Free online display conversion service is available to all Sigmafine Hub customers. 5. Quick start orientation. An optional remote installation package by Pimsoft is available also for this step. Let's see all the steps more in detail, starting from the definition of the installation scenario. As we said, the architecture of the new Sigmafine Hub system must be defined, since it may affect the installation process. Installation is easier, for example, if Sigmafine Hub has a dedicated server and a local SQL server. So in other cases, the installation can require some additional checks and actions. Update Sigmafine system. If the Sigmafine server version is older than 4.6.8, a Sigmafine upgrade is necessary before jumping to the next step of the installation. If the Sigmafine server doesn't need an upgrade or it has been already done, the installation can take place. It means having Sigmafine Hub installed and connected to the Sigmafine server with client connection ready to be used. The Sigmafine Hub installation is much easier than the installation that we are used to see for Sigmafine components, and if the requirements are met, it can be performed by users that are not professional IT. In order to describe the Sigmafine Hub installation process, we divide it into a sequence of 4 phases: the planning, the installation, the configuration of the parameters, and the commission of Sigmafine Hub, testing and verifying the final system. In the plan phase, a pre-installation assessment will be made, and the system must be prepared for the next step. During the install and configure phase, the installation itself will be performed, together with the settings of the connection parameters. Depending on the case, the installation phase can be performed entirely by the customer under Pimsoft guidance, or completely by Pimsoft with the customer IT support, or partially by Pimsoft and partially by the customer IT. In the last phase of commission, the whole system will be tested, including the display conversion. The plan phase includes a review of the pre-installation checklist that can be performed by Pimsoft together with the IT team. We will check that all the system requirements are met. And finally, the Sigmafine server version needs to be verified, since some version needs a patch to support Sigmafine Hub. Once all these points are confirmed, we can move to the next phase. The system requirements for Sigmafine Hub are the following. Microsoft SQL Server must be version 2008 R2 or higher. Microsoft.NET version 4.8, OSIsoft AF Client version 2.9.5. Regarding the browser, both Microsoft Edge and Chrome are okay for Sigmafine Hub. As you can see, all these components can be easily installed by the customer ID. When all the prerequisites are checked and the required third-party software had been installed, the customer should download the Sigmafine Hub installation kit from the Sigmafine support site. At this point, we can proceed with the Sigmafine Hub installation. When the Sigmafine Hub is installed, it needs to be configured and connected to the target Sigmafine server, and if present, to the Sigmafine test server as well. Then one user is configured to access and operate on Sigmafine Hub. Obviously, only authorities account have access to the Sigmafine Hub and to the many services that it supports. The next step is the registration of the Sigmafine server. This is an important step that is performed only once and links the Sigmafine Hub to its license. Then, if required, the patch needs to be installed in the Sigmafine server. Finally, the new system can be tested in order to guarantee all the functionalities, and the last phase of commission can take place. In this step is completed when the Sigmafine Hub application server and the application server are connected, and user can connect to the Sigmafine server via Sigmafine Hub. When Sigmafine Hub is successfully installed, we can skip to the display conversion step. The Processbook displays that were used to work with in Sigmafine can be used anymore in Sigmafine Hub. In order to visualize the Sigmafine model in the Sigmafine Hub visualization tool, the Sigmafine Hub visualizer, the Processbook display must be converted in a Sigmafine Hub-friendly format. This conversion process is very simple and includes only a few steps. Here is a short recap of the display conversion process. The PDI files need to be loaded into the Sigmafine Hub site, where they will be converted. When the conversion will be over, a message will be sent to the user that will be able to download the converted file and load it in the new Sigmafine Hub server of his company. After that, the user will be ready to work with it. Once the displays have been converted and available in Sigmafine Hub, the only missing step is the onboarding of the user. Here, some of the key actions that the user can do with Sigmafine Hub. First, create and manage a user using the Sigmafine Hub admin web app. Then, register on the Sigmafine support site. As we said, only users with permission will be able to access Sigmafine Hub and work with models. They can explore the resources of the Sigmafine support site. They can convert the Sigmafine displays, and after the conversion, the displays can be imported in the new Sigmafine Hub system and used to run the Sigmafine models. All the basic Sigmafine operations, collect element, collect transfer, collect input, run, and publish, will be performed during the visualizer. All the new features of the Sigmafine visualizer will be available, as well as the functionalities and the tricks that can improve the user experience and save time during the balance analysis. The Sigmafine Hub installation service package allows you to get Sigmafine Hub completely installed by Pimsoft remotely. Even if Sigmafine Hub installation can be easily performed by the customer, you may need to speed up the process. The installation package includes all the installation steps, from the pre-installation assessment to the test of the client connections. Depending on the case, the installation phase can be performed completely by Pimsoft with the customer IT support, or partially by Pimsoft and partially by the customer IT, depending on the permissions that are given to Pimsoft. Here are the requirements that need to be met for this service. The IT staff of the customer, who is the owner of the system, must be available to support Pimsoft during the process. The service will be performed remotely. That's why Pimsoft will need to access the Sigmafine Hub server remotely in a secure way. In some cases, depending on the Sigmafine version, a patch is required. So in that case, Pimsoft will need to remote access to the Sigmafine servers too. Required network ports must be open for the Sigmafine Hub prior to the installation, and one Sigmafine display must be available for conversion test purposes. Finally, in order to ask for this service, the customer must have an active software maintenance program. The installation service is estimated to take about 8 hours. The installation activity from scratch can take a few hours, but the overall elapsed time may be longer since it depends on the fulfillment of the system requirements and the completion of the pre-installation checks. After the Sigmafine Hub is installed, the easiest way to get started with the new system is with the Sigmafine Hub Quick Start service. Once Sigmafine Hub is successfully installed on your system, this standard service package will introduce the user to the new Sigmafine Hub. It is an 8 hours remote orientation training divided into 4 sessions, 2 hours each. All the users must be already familiar with Sigmafine, since this is not a Sigmafine user training. This course will show the new graphic interface of Sigmafine visualizers and the new features. The concepts of Sigmafine, however, are unchanged, so the user will not take too long to understand how to use Sigmafine Hub. With the Quick Start service package, Pimsoft will introduce you to the new display conversion service. An account for the display conversion must be registered and activated. Pimsoft will assist you during the conversion of one single display to show you the process. Finally, the converted display will be loaded into the Sigmafine Hub and will be ready to be used. Now we see the prerequisite to get the Quick Start service. Since this training is provided remotely, a secure remote access must be granted through dedicated VPN or equivalent to the Sigmafine Hub and Sigmafine server. Then, at least one Sigmafine display must be available in order to test the conversion, one display for each participant, and the selected display must be correctly synchronized with the Sigmafine model. External internet access must be allowed too for the display conversion service. Finally, the customer should have an active software maintenance program in order to be able to get this service, and the participants should already know the basics of Sigmafine, as we said before. This service, however, comes with some conditions. First, this service package is delivered remotely and requires remote access to the Sigmafine Hub application server and Sigmafine server. Then, the maximum number of participants is 4. A pre-orientation checklist will be sent and reviewed with the customer to confirm that all the prerequisites are met before proceeding with the orientation session. The orientation session may be recorded by the customer and used for retraining purposes inside the organization only. The Sigmafine Hub Quick Start is an 8 hours training divided into 4 sessions of 2 hours. In this case, the overall duration of the service will depend just on the customer availability and whether the planned will be planned only 1 session per week or 2. Now, if you have any question, let me know.
Okay, thank you, Carolina, for walking us through the steps to become a Sigmafine Hub users. We are ready for Q&A. If anyone has some questions they would like to share to submit to Carolina. Okay, here's the first one. Are those all the requirements to install Sigmafine Hub? I guess, in other words, is there something else the customer should know besides what you presented us?
Yes, actually, in the presentation, I only shown the main software requirements, but there are also other hardware requirements and also some configuration that have to be done. And the whole list will be shared to the user that show interest for Sigmafine Hub and contact their account manager.
Okay. Well, when you refer to hardware, I guess you refer to either, I guess, also virtual machines, or it's basically an IIS server, correct? This is what you're referring to primarily.
For example, to the dimensions of the disk of the server that we are going to use, and
yes, some qualifying the resources, required for the computing resources. Okay, very good. Next question. What is the most difficult part of the Sigmafine Hub installation?
Well, the Sigmafine Hub installation is not difficult, but if we want to find the phase that takes more time, we can say that can be the preparation step. In fact, the preparation phase include the check of many aspects, the preparation of the installation of missing components and the check of the connection port, and this can take some time also because it depends on the availability of the customer. But then the installation itself is just the run of the setup kit, and also the check requirements can be fastened because it is performed by an automatic application, so it's very easy.
Okay, very good. I guess that's the new reality of working remotely. Getting credentials and everything organized with every company is becoming a time-consuming step. Yeah. Okay, good. Next question. Can Sigmafine Hub installed on a development server and checked before the production server is actually changed or updated? Yeah.
Yes, it can be done, even if it makes not so much sense, because Sigmafine Hub does not require to change the Sigmafine server. It is installed on top to the Sigmafine server, and the best scenario, in the best scenario, Sigmafine Hub is installed on a separate server, so does not affect the Sigmafine server.
Okay, very good. Next question. Do we have a next question, Ryan? Or is it my screen freezing again?
Are there any limitations for customers that use Sigmafine on an on-prem offline server?
Yeah, it is possible, actually, because it must be checked during the preparation step, if this is possible.
Okay. Other questions, Ryan?
That was the last one.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Carolina, for this presentation. I'm sure people will replay this and be in touch with your team very soon to get some Sigmafine Hub installation going.
Yes, I hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you, bye. Okay, so we made it. A few technical glitches here and there, but I guess that comes with this approach of working virtually. But I think we are coming to the end. I would like to call back or invite Massimo to join me to say a few words.
Sure.
Thank you, Massimo. So Massimo, I think we've seen. Well, we're on the last day of the summit, so we have the benefits, you and me, to have seen all 3 days. So, but for our users, I would say that there's really this year a very nice common denominator, of everything we've discussed, is that we've seen how Sigmafine has moved from a specialized calculator, if we can call it this way, tucked in a corner somewhere, run by 1 or 2 people, has become a component of the overall, architecture of our customers. So it's at the crossroads of many functions in the organization. We have seen it from a customer perspective, in terms of integrating with their ERPs or integrating with other systems. We have seen it also conceptually from Greg's presentation, as being part of a layer of digital capabilities, the way he expressed it, towards the challenges in the future. So my question to you, Massimo, is that obviously Sigmafine Hub is a bit of a response to that, but how significant is this new reality, if I can call it this way, in terms of the impact it'll have on the roadmap of the Sigmafine Hub, or the roadmap of Sigmafine, overall?
Sure. Well, yes, actually, you're right. I mean, at the very beginning, Sigmafine was a kind of complex calculator installed on a single standalone machine with 1 person operating it. Point. Even the exchange of data in and out was half automated, semi-manual, kind of that. And we've seen on these 3 days many presentations from customer and some thought from our partner, where Sigmafine is operating in an integrated environment. And I would say not only from the point of view of the interoperability between different systems, so from the IT point of view, but especially from the point of view of the organization and the work processes of the companies. So we have seen Sigmafine not just exchanging values, but as we learned during these days, reliable data set. And I would say that another thought I had while seeing the presentation of Craig mentioned certain enablers for digital enablers to achieve operation excellence. And I believe the two of them summarize the reason why Pimsoft started this journey to the Sigmafine Hub. And one is connected to the question you just posed, and it is business process automation, business process redesign. So we need to elevate Sigmafine to be a platform capable to be configured in terms of the full work process of the production of the digital asset. So it is not just the, let's say, technical task of doing a reconciliation. We have seen is much more. It involves including business rule. We learned, for example, from the studio presentation, that we have introduced the concept of Sigmafine Analytics, Sigmafine Dashboards, which can be mapped with the concept of reshaping dataset for further consumption. And so for sure, these potentiality are at the core of the Sigmafine Hub development, because we will have an asset collaboration, an asset workflow, analytics, auditability, pervasive auditability, and so on. But also the other point Craig was mentioning is technology simplification. And this is the other edge of the effort we are putting in the Sigmafine Hub development. And So it is very important to underline that Signifying Hub is a web-based application. So this also is targeting a simplification of the handling and the maintenance of the Signifying installation. So the customer base will not have to install anything. There will be no more thick client on the laptop, let's say, and we will be able to consume Signifying on every, tool, every device, okay, capable of browsing facilities, okay. And more important, I will underline, I believe this was made evident through the last presentation, that Signifying Hub is not a replacement of what we know Signifying is an addition of a further layer of functionalities and capabilities. And this is why Carolina was saying that she doesn't see any complex part in the installation, because literally the Signifying server will remain untouched, because we are preserving and anything that you have been developing along all the years. So all your engineering and business knowledge will stay there and will be automatically available in the Signifying Hub environment. And I believe this is a key point to encourage the Signifying community to join the Signifying Hub journey.
Okay, thank you very much, Massimo.
Thank you.
Thank you for these last comments. I guess for everyone, today we're saying, transforming data into digital assets, because that's probably how everybody thinks in recent years. But when you look at it, in fact, Sigmafine has always been in the business of transforming data into something more usable over the years, and it's been going on for over 25 years now. So let's hope we can continue down that journey and continue to make a significant contribution to the strategy of our customers. So we are coming to the end of the third day of the summit for 2021. We made it. We thank everyone for your attention. We want to thank also very much our presenters for this event, because without them there would be no summit, no event, and there would not be these rich conversations that we're having. So thank you very much to everyone who participated to make this possible. I want to thank the team that's behind the scene, Ryan, and people on the production side for making this event as well. Hopefully we've conveyed to you that Sigmafine Hub and our roadmap, it can be a game changer and can be the foundation of your digital strategy in terms of driving more actionable outcomes from your operation. Presentations and recordings will be available shortly after the summit. You go back to either to our resource page on the website or you go back to the Sigmafine Live website. It's the same credentials, and you should be able to replay and share any of the presentations with anyone in your organization or anyone else even outside your organization, as long as they register on the website. So again, thank you everyone. We look forward to having you contact us or re-engage through your account manager or through technical support or through some of our frontline delivery engineer for any questions you have about Sigmafine. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you, Massimo.
Thanks.
See you soon.
We will be able to run the summit maybe both in person and virtually, right?
Yes, that would be great if we can do it next year. It would be definitely a big, an improvement for sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can do virtually is already, I guess, a big plus. So we've learned new skills, every one of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.